person who tried to dim your light isn't sleeping as soundly as they want you to think. Here's the hard truth they'll never admit. When someone attempts to suppress a person with genuine, raw talent, something sticks. It's not exactly envy, it's something deeper. It's a realization they can't shake, no matter how many status symbols they buy or how many hollow praises they collect. You weren't playing a character. You weren't calculating your brand in the background or checking the weather before you decided to create. You just showed up and poured your soul into your craft consistently without a hidden agenda. And that kind of authenticity is terrifying to the mediocre. Most people in the corporate world or the creative scene have only ever seen talent that comes with a price tag. They've dealt with people who hold back their best work unless they're being watched, or who only innovate when there's a guaranteed promotion on the line. But you were just real. And being real in a world of polished performances is jarring. They didn't recognize your gift at first because it didn't come with a spotlight or a PR team. Your brilliance was steady, quiet, and present. They got used to your excellence without ever stopping to realize how rare it actually was to have that kind of fire sitting right next to them. In this story, we're going to look at why trying to bury someone with a true calling doesn't work. We'll explore why the weight of that choice grows heavier the further they get from the moment they tried to hold you back, and why your decision to keep creating, to build your own world in silence, is the most intimidating thing they will ever witness from across the room. If you've ever been the one who worked for the love of the game while others played for the score, this is for you. Part 1. The void they created. It wasn't just a colleague or a partner they sidelined. Let's be precise. There is a massive difference between losing a warm body and losing a visionary who was invested in the collective dream. You remembered the details that made the project breathe. Not because you wanted a bonus, but because you cared about the work itself. You saw the potential in the mess. That's not a job description. That's a rare form of creative investment. Here's the thing about people who are driven by ego. They don't know how to handle someone who isn't. They interpret your humility as a weakness they can exploit. They mistake your willingness to collaborate for a lack of ambition, right up until the day they realize they can't replicate what you do. Whether it was taking credit for your ideas or pushing you out of the room, the fundamental thing they broke wasn't just your career path, it was their own access to the magic only you provided. Sidelining a true original isn't a strategy, it's a confession of insecurity. Part 2. The echo in the boardroom. Right after it happens, they go into damage control. They spin a narrative to protect their ego. They tell themselves, you weren't a team player, or you were too difficult to manage. They need the story to be survivable, so they rewrite the history of your contributions. New hires arrive. New meetings fill the calendar. The noise works for a while, but the silence always comes back. It hits them in the middle of a brainstorm when the ideas are stale. It hits them when they see a piece of work that has your fingerprints all over it. That specific style they tried to claim as their own but can't quite mimic. They remember how you looked at a challenge, not with fear, but with belief. You believed in the work even when the numbers didn't make sense yet. That's the thing they can't replay. Flashy resumes are everywhere, but someone who finds the work worth protecting, that doesn't just show up on LinkedIn. Part 3. No hiding from the truth. When someone fires a slacker, there's plenty of material to justify it. When a project fails due to incompetence, the explanation is easy. But when someone tries to bury a person who was genuinely, quietly excellent, there is no clean narrative. They try to find one. They say you were too much or out of touch, but it doesn't stick because beneath the lies, the work you left behind remains unmoving. You weren't the problem. You were the standard. Here is what they actually lost. They lost a space where they didn't have to be the smartest person in the room. They lost the safety of your competence. Now, every move they make carries the pressure of having to prove they didn't need you. They feel your absence every time a client asks a question they can't answer, or every time the unconditional effort you used to give is replaced by people who only do the bare minimum. You can move on from losing a job, but it's much harder to move on from knowing you tried to kill the best thing your company ever had going for it. Part 4. Time is the greatest teacher. People think time makes us forget, but when it comes to talent, time only provides contrast. At first, they feel relief, no more feeling less than in your presence. Relief feels like freedom until the results start to dip. Then, the world provides lessons. They deal with people who are all talk and no action. People who jump ship the second things get hard. Each of those frustrations calculates against the memory of how you worked. They start to understand what grit actually means. They realize that you didn't just do tasks, you protected the vision in rooms where it was being mocked. None of that was invisible. It was just unappreciated. Now, what they called ordinary is revealed as exceptional, and they have to live with the fact that they were the ones who showed you the door. They didn't just lose an employee, they lost their edge. Part 5. The unstoppable rise. Here is the final layer. What haunts them isn't that you're gone, it's how you handled the exit. You didn't burn the bridge. You didn't go on a social media tirade. You didn't beg for your spot back. You simply took your tools and started building something else. That matters, because when a scorned person stays angry, the person who hurt them can call them bitter. But when that person gets quiet, heals, and starts outperforming them from a new zip code, there is no story to make that comfortable. Your success becomes the evidence. Your peace becomes the proof. Somewhere on an ordinary Tuesday, they'll realize if they had just supported your fire, you would have used it to keep them warm. But you are doing something better now. You are directing that same energy toward your own empire. Their consequence is watching you fly. Your reward is realizing you never needed their permission to take off. If you have a gift, hear this. Their inability to see your worth wasn't proof that you weren't talented. It was proof they weren't ready for someone who couldn't be controlled. Don't let their smallness make you shrink. One day, you'll be in a room that celebrates what they tried to censor, and you'll realize that being pushed out was just the universe giving you a head start.